Hi, I'm Lowell Joseph Gallin, and I am here at the mayor's office in Jerusalem. And our guest for today's interview is Naomi Tsur. Naomi, thank you for being our guest. We know each other for many years, and Mrs. Tsur is now the deputy mayor for planning and environment. That's her portfolio. Naomi, what can you tell us about how you've been involved with environmental protection in Israel for years? How are we doing cleaning up the beaches, planting trees, improving the country? What's going on?
We're not cleaning up beaches in Jerusalem because...
Right, no beaches in Jerusalem.
As you will remember, we are not on the coastline, we're high up in the Jerusalem hills. We're one of the highest points in the world compared to the Dead Sea, which is not too far away, which is the lowest point in the world. So we have these exceptionally stark topographical contrasts. And in fact, Jerusalem is at a very interesting place microclimatically. We have a line cutting through the city which doesn't divide us demographically, it divides our microclimates, one half of us facing to the desert and the other the green Jerusalem hills. How are we doing for cleaning ourselves up? Well, I'd like to share with you that cities and the running of cities are all really to do with the public domain. The public domain is whatever we meet when we leave our homes and set foot outside. It's whatever we see, whatever we encounter, whatever behavior we come across, that is all part of our public domain. It can be in public transport, it can be in a park, it can be in a shopping centre, it can be at an institution of culture or recreation. And one of the wonderful things about Jerusalem is the way our public domain works, where we have accessibility, freedom of movement, freedom of expression, freedom of worship. In the public domain that interconnects about 30 neighbourhoods that are divided up between our three major populations, which are the Arab, largely Muslim population, about 35%, about 25% of ultra-Orthodox families, and the more pluralistic remaining 40%. But although these populations choose to live in neighbourhoods that are characterised in the way they want them to be, they all meet up in the public domain. When I travel to work every morning, and as you know, Aryeh, I don't run a car, I come to work every morning from my home in Kiryat Moshe.
I didn't know it, but I know it now.
My home in Kiryat Moshe, I get on the light rail, and in the compartment of the light rail I meet all the different kinds of Jerusalemites. When I get off the light rail and walk into the municipality, I see around me all the different kinds of Jerusalemites. Jerusalem has a degree of tolerance in the public domain which is appreciated and supportive of everyone's lifestyle in the city. It's not that we're a city without any clashes, but when the clashes occur, it's usually when one kind of neighbourhood tries to encroach on another neighbourhood, and it is much less in that public domain.
Right. You mentioned Jerusalem, which has no beaches. I meant, the beaches on the coast. And that's primarily the primary beach. Of course, you have the beaches of the Yam HaMelech, the Salt Sea, which is also known as the Dead Sea.
Well, I can share news about that with you too. For instance, we have one of our major environmental challenges is the fact that I mentioned the microclimatic line cutting the city into an eastern, more desert area and a western, more forested area. We also have a division of where our sewage is treated. On the west, it's treated in a wonderful state-of-the-art treatment plant that takes in both Israeli and Palestinian sewage in the Sorek Valley from the western watersheds of all the metropolis, Israeli and Palestinian. But we now have to develop and solve the problem of 15 million cubic meters of sewage on the eastern watershed, and this is something that I'm working very hard on together with Palestinian colleagues, because to solve this problem adequately it has to be a shared solution. Sewage knows no boundaries. The Palestinian and Israeli sewage flows together, but in a part of the world that doesn't have enough water, we should be turning those 15 million cubic meters of sewage into 15 million cubic meters of water. And in fact, the solid part of the sewage, I will not use indelicate language, should be turned into fuel, and can be very excellent biomass fuel. So we need to turn this environmental hazard and health hazard into an energy and water asset, and we're working hard to do so. We're doing it within a very interesting framework. We are developing Jerusalem's potential as a green pilgrim city for 3 religions. We're working with other pilgrim cities around the world in the Green Pilgrimage Network.
Could you mention the name of some of those cities that are considered pilgrimage cities?
Some of the cities that are working. A pilgrimage city is a city that is a destination for pilgrims, and of course Jerusalem's case is a very interesting one. We're a destination for 3 world religions, and in fact we are going to be hosting an international symposium on this subject at the end of April with cities from around the world and faith groups. I'll give you an example of some of them.
Would one of them be Santiago de Compostela in Spain?
Yes, we're going to have representation from Santiago de Compostela, but there are some much more exotic ones.
Benares in India?
Yes, we're going to have representation.
Kyoto in Japan?
We don't have Kyoto in Japan, but we will. This is ongoing.
That's the center of Shintoism.
Undoubtedly, but what we do have is Echmiadzin. Echmiadzin is the Rome of Armenia. And Echmiadzin became a holy city for the Armenian Christians because it is at the foot of Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark landed.
Yes, by tradition, on the border of Turkey and Armenia is the traditional Mount Ararat, where supposedly Noah's Ark is up there, some remains.
And that's where they established the holy city of Echmiadzin. And Echmiadzin is closely connected with Jerusalem. In our old city, from the 5th century, the oldest Christian community in Jerusalem is the Armenian community, which have close ties with Echmiadzin and are very much integrated into the running of our public domain in the city. Of course, they have wonderful handicrafts and a wonderful cultural contribution to the city.
And how are we doing with the light rail? We now have no more motorized traffic through the center of the city on Jaffa Road. The light rail has been functioning for a year now?
Yes, the light rail threw the whole of the city center into chaos for about 10 years. We felt as though the city center was a patient on the operating table. There were some points at which we thought the operation might be successful, but the patient might not survive. However, we've come through it. We now have a downtown that any city could be really proud of, pollution-free, traffic-free, and we're counting heads. We're counting how many people are now coming down to the city centre, and we're discovering that it's increasing by the day.
This is amazing because it seems counterintuitive. I've been here with my wife and girls in Israel for 21 years from New York. And we were here for those 10 years of chaos, and it was chaos, creative chaos. And this is always the claim made by businessmen. If you cut off the motorized traffic, we're going to lose our clients. Whereas statistically, all over the world where walking streets zones are introduced, as in San Francisco, Ghirardelli Square, I think, always results in the long term in an increase in foot traffic and businesses. Is that correct?
That is undoubtedly correct, and Jerusalem is expanding the pedestrian area and making it more and more costly to park a car in downtown Jerusalem. So it's going to be worth people's while to bike or catch the light rail into town. We're completing a bike ring around the whole central city area, a bike ring round in the parks around Jerusalem, 43 kilometre. That would be about 30 miles of a ring. And we have trees in Jaffa Road and birds, and people can hear what they're saying to each other because we don't have the noise of traffic or the smog of traffic, and it's a different experience altogether. Now we're expanding that down to the Mamilla shopping centre. There's going to be an additional pedestrian area. It goes up Ben Yehuda, of course, and all the interconnecting streets. So I think it's a downtown that we can all be very, very proud of, in addition we're now forbidding the entry of private cars into the old city. The entire old city is going to be a special operational zone with only friendly electric vehicles, which will not pollute, and that's something we're trying to introduce gradually and to get the residents' cooperation in all the quarters.
My last question regarding the electric vehicles. Israel is a real leader in that field with recharging. You plug in your cell phone, you plug in your car and recharge your car. Is Jerusalem is one of the testing cities for better cars, Shai Agassi and other companies for electrically powered vehicles? We're a world leader in that field, I think.
We were the first city in Israel to sign on with Better Place, Shai Agassi's initiative, and we're very proud to be taking the lead in this. In fact, this is perhaps not the picture that people have of Jerusalem, but we are beginning to take the lead in many environmental issues. One of the more surprising ones that people don't think of is the issue of preserving nature within the city and natural resources. For instance, we're going to be dedicating and inaugurating Israel's first urban nature park in the middle of 2013. It's going to be the Gazelle Valley Urban Park with a herd of natural gazelles that were trapped there while development went on all around them. And what we're going to do is celebrate that and make it a place in the city where people can walk and not take their cars and enjoy nature on their doorstep. And we think that's a lovely thing to offer all our residents.
Naomi, thank you very much for our first interview, and we thank our viewers for watching, and come and visit us in Israel and Jerusalem real soon. Naomi,
I would add a word.
Yes, please.
Please come to our conference on Green and Accessible Pilgrimage at the end of April. I'll give you the website. It's www, then all in one word, greenpilgrimjerusalem.org. You'll find all the information.
We'll have many useful links, including that accompany Naomi's interview. So, Naomi, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.